Hello and welcome back in this Java programming course. In this lecture, we're going to go through return types and method parameters. As you may recall, this is the code from our previous lecture. Now, in the previous lecture, you've seen the basic structure of a method. And today we're going to speak about a very important part of a method, which is the return type. So we have already typed the return type for this method, and that is void. Now, void in English means nothing, so this indicates that this particular method doesn't return anything. In real-world applications, you may need a lot of calculations, and that is when return types come handy. You can still use void in a method to do calculations, but you can only output the calculation. You cannot return a value using void. So we can see this in an example. I'm gonna say void. For example, calculate months to birthday. Right here, I'm gonna add another variable. I'm gonna say int month. And in our main method, I'm gonna give month a value. Let's say name.month. Let's say 8. And I'm gonna go back to our calculation method. And I'm gonna say int months left equals to 12 minus month. So I'm gonna output this calculation, sysout, control space, and I'm gonna put here months left. So if I actually call this method in our main method, it will output months left until the birthday. To avoid confusion, I'm gonna comment out this method, so this will not be called, and I'm gonna run the program, and you can see that there are 4 months left until the birthday. Of course, this is a very basic example of a calculation, but this can get very complex in real applications. But let's say that I don't want to output this calculation. Instead, I want the value to be returned and use that value with other methods or other calculations. And in that case, the return type void wouldn't do the job. So instead, I'm gonna put here int. At the end, I'm gonna say return months left. So now, whenever we call this method, the int value 4 is going to be returned, but will not be outputted. So if we run this, nothing will be outputted. So now in my main method, I could create a variable, let's say int months. What I could do right here is make this int months variable equals to our calculate months to birthday method. So now this variable int equals to 4, which is the result returned from this method right here. Now I can output that. I can say sysout, control space, and I can say months. Months until birthday plus months. And I can run this. So it will output months until birthday and the result that I've returned from this method right here. So basically the return type in this method right here has enabled me to get a value right here. And don't forget that this could be any type. This could be double, int, string, byte, short, or any other object of your choice. And you can follow the same procedure to retrieve that particular value. So beside of returning values from a method, another thing that you would also like to do is passing values to methods. So to see an example of that, I'm gonna make another method right here, and I'm gonna say void talk. So now you may notice these parentheses since the very first time we've created methods, and that is exactly where we're going to place the parameters. That will slightly change the behavior of our method. So what I could do right here is call this method in our main method, name.talk, and I can put here, for example, a string that says, "Hi, I'm Steven." And as you can see here, we've given this method a string variable. So right here, I should say string text, for example. And here I should say sysout, control space, text. So I've given this parameter right here a value down here that says, "Hi, I'm Steven." And if we run this, it's gonna be outputted on the console, "Hi, I'm Steven," as you can see right here. So whatever value you give down here, that is the exact type that you should pass to your method as parameter. So if you need to pass here values like numbers, you should change the type here in int, double, or any other type that returns the value that you need to pass in. So I'm gonna create another method right here that says walk. So I could say here int speed, and down here I'm gonna say walking plus speed plus kilometers per hour. So when I call this method name.walk, I must pass an int value within the parentheses, otherwise I'm gonna get an error, as you can see right here. If I say here 7 and I run this, it will output walking 7 kilometers per hour. And you could have multiple parameters as well. I'm gonna say void timer, and here I'm gonna say int minutes, comma, double seconds, and here I'm gonna say sysout, control space. I'm gonna say it took plus minutes plus and plus seconds plus to get down the hill. So when I call this method name.timer, so right here I should pass exactly the same order of the parameters I've stated right here. So first I should give an int, for example, let's say 9 minutes, and then a double, let's say 3.65 seconds. For better description, I should say right here M and S for minutes and seconds. So if I run this, it's gonna output it took 9 minutes and 3.65 seconds to get down the hill. So if you have multiple parameters, it's very important to put them in the exact same order that you declare up here. And it must be the exact same type, of course. So another thing I would like to mention in this lecture is something that usually confuses the beginners. For example, if we call the talk method again, and we can see up here that the method talk expects a string parameter, and down here I will create a variable of type string, and I'm gonna say string hello, and I'm gonna say hello there. And you can see up here that the name of string in the parameter of this method is text, whilst I have created another string with another name that says hello. So if I pass this new variable that I've created into my method, it will work just as fine as before. because this name doesn't matter when it comes to calling the method. We could use variables with different names to call it. So as long as it is of type string, you don't have to call your variable text. You can call it anything you want, and you can still output your value. As you can see here, it says hello there. So don't get confused if you see here that you are outputting the string named text, and down here you've given another string named hello. As long as your method parameter expects a string, the name of the variable string doesn't matter. It will work just as fine. So that's it for this lecture. If this is your first time seeing this, it may seem that it will take years to understand everything, but believe me that you only need few practices and you will gradually understand everything. So as usual, I'm gonna leave the code in the resources section. Practice a lot, change the values, play around with it, and you'll be just fine. So I'm gonna see you with more exciting new Java stuff in the upcoming lectures. So until then, happy coding!